Today's review is Lucio Fulci's Zombie, aka Zombie Flesh Eaters, aka Zombie 2, aka the one where a zombie fights a fucking shark. I'm sure you don't need me to tell you. Kind of one of the frustrating things about this movie is what the hell the actual title is. Kind of depends on who you ask. And of course, as I'm sure many people who have done reviews of this movie will note, that it kind of stemmed from, in the late 70s, of course. Dawn of the Dead, George A. Romero's Dawn of the Dead, being titled Zombie in Europe, and this trying to cash in on it since it's also dealing with zombies, being called Zombie 2. So it has no relation to George A. Romero's line of films. So it's technically a sequel to nothing. So that's basically what it is. So who knows, why they decided to go about it that way, to try to make it seem as if it's a sequel. I think today, if they have it on Netflix, Netflix Instant or whatever, they should just, fuck it, call it Zombie versus Shark, because that's what most people know about this movie. And I don't know what it is. People just love like something versus shark. What the fuck? I don't know. But there's an idea, Netflix. Anyway, this is a good movie. This is a very good movie. One of the notable zombie films. Really shows in great display of Lucio Fulci's talent as a director. Definitely not afraid to go pretty heavy on the gore, which he definitely does in this movie. It's quite a gory movie, but really good gore. One of the other parts of the movie that this is well known for is, that one scene where the woman gets her head bashed into that wooden spike thing. Ooh, so gruesome. So it's very gory. I'll tell you that much. And kind of was in that area. This is from the late 70s, but you can kind of count it within that period of Italian horror films, the whole revolution there, within the 80s. So you had Bava, you had Fulci, Argento. So it's definitely part of that overall kind of mania that made its way to North America here. We're glad it did, of course. The movie's kind of aged a little bit. Like, I don't know if it's just the quality of this DVD here, but it doesn't look great. I'd be very curious to see a Blu-ray transfer of this. So if you've seen the Blu-ray, if you've seen how it's transferred, comment below. Let me know. I'm very curious to see if it's worth double dipping. But the movie itself, of course, very much is about zombies. It's a very, very simple plot. But what I kind of like about it is it does kind of go almost to like zombie roots of things, because you have the George A. Romero zombie movies. 1968, Night of the Living Dead became the huge classic that, in so many ways, established everything we know about zombies. So that kind of, in its own way, was the rise of the zombie. Though, of course, there have been plenty of zombie movies before Night of the Living Dead, but that was kind of the one that stuck out, set kind of the tried and true rules that we're all used to. Like, kind of like sort of similar to something like the Wolfman, kind of tuning all the rules, making it the standard. Even though there were other werewolf movies before the Wolfman. So something in that terms. But with the Fulci's film here, he brings it to kind of the roots of where you would see earlier zombie movies, like most notably White Zombie, where there is very much an aspect that involves voodoo. So that's very interesting. Like, that's kind of what's, I don't know, for whatever reason, I would say it's an important part of sort of zombie folklore, that it does involve voodoo, that make these, corpses rise to life and become zombie flesh eaters, as it were. You don't see that too much. Like, maybe that'll be like final episode of Walking Dead, like, oh, it was voodoo. But you always see like an infection or something like that, some kind of unexplained thing, not related to voodoo. But here it is very much about this secluded island here, and there's doctors, professional doctors, as well as witch doctors, basically, practicing voodoo, and the dead coming to life because of it. So that creates a very intense atmosphere for this movie, because there are scenes, there are passages of this movie where you're like, hear kind of like the voodoo drums, like, and you're like, oh, okay, this is getting kind of tense, and I'm not even realizing, and I feel uneasy. So that's really cool. What I like about the movie. So it brings it back to those kinds of roots. So in a way, it was sort of, I don't know if it was consciously or not, separating itself from what had become, at least in North America, the standard of the zombie movie, which was a little bit different, had nothing to do with voodoo. And of course, the great irony is that it would forever be associated with the Romero films, even though it has no relation whatsoever to them. So, yeah, I don't know. But yeah, I think this is a very good movie. Very good gore, very good zombie effects like this fucker here. Very gruesome. You see like the maggots in the eyes. So very, very great effects. And it is a pretty scary movie, I think. Like, I'm sure, show this movie to say like, I don't know, like a 13-year-old or something. Maybe they won't appreciate it. Like, oh, this is cheesy. This is stupid. Admittedly, you would have to be, I would say, somewhat in the right mindset to watch this movie. Like, you gotta kind of go with it, because yeah, there are some cheesy things about it, so take that however you like. But yeah, I think it still holds up. And while I probably wouldn't say this is among my, like, say, top 5, maybe even top 10 zombie movies. That's actually hard to say. um, I don't know. I think it's somewhere up there. I think it's worth noting. I think it really does have its place. So it's actually a good question. One of my favorite zombie movies. What are your favorite zombie movies? Comment below. But yeah, that should be my review of Lucio Fulci's Zombie. It is a classic. It has its place. But I would say, overuse a phrase that I've been using this month, an acquired taste. So there's that to consider. But if you want to kind of go to the roots of zombie, you don't want to watch some obscure 1930s film, which maybe you should. I don't know. Like, you ever see that video where it's like they're asking all the celebrities what their favorite zombie movies are, and like whatever they show, like Bradley Cooper's like, oh, I like Dawn of the Dead, or Ashton Kutcher's like, oh wow, World War Z is the best movie ever made. Like, shut up, Ashton Kutcher. But then you have like Johnny Depp, where he's like, oh, I really like the obscure zombie movies from the 1930s. I walked with a zombie, and that's my Johnny Depp impression. But he's kind of getting at that. We're like, we can almost understand you, Johnny. He speaks Japanese. He doesn't speak English. He's higher than us. Not higher than us, but never mind. I'm getting off the track here. Zombie, great movie, good movie. It's up for you to decide. I think it's good. But that'll be my review for today. So thanks for watching. More 31 Days of Horror reviews to come. Until then, I'll see you later.